and this is the biggest crowd that I've seen by far. I'd estimate there are at least 1,000 people out here. It's a diverse group of black, brown, and white young people. It's mainly young people who are out here. They started marching at 6 tonight, and it is after 10. You can tell this crowd has not died down at all. There are still a lot of people out here. Now, this group has walked all around Iowa City tonight. Something that stood out from some of those previous protests is that the group stopped in the road at multiple intersections, blocking off traffic, listening to each other and chanting, and then they walked right down in the middle of the street. This has been a peaceful protest. At one point, a driver stopped in the road and got out to actually confront the protesters, but the protesters called out to each other and said to let the man go, and they told them to keep the protest nonviolent. One speaker even told the crowd, "We are not here to get even. That won't bring our people back." We talked with a few protesters about what they want to come out of these demonstrations. Among other goals, they say they want to have a conversation with leaders, including law enforcement, and they say they want to be heard because they're not being heard right now.
The people that's running this need to hear us, hear our voice, hear our cry, or they're going to cause more issues. It's them, they're the problem, not the people. They forget they work for us, and they need to know that.
Now, like last night, some of the protesters were tagging and spray painting signs in other properties around Iowa City. Both Andre Brock, the man you just heard from, and another protester, Ian Mills, say they do not condone this, but they believe these actions are coming from a place of pent-up frustration and anger. Mills says that, in his view, the city can clean up that paint. They can scrub it off, but he says no one can bring back George Floyd.
But at the end of the day, if you're more concerned about the looting, more concerned about the vandalism than you are about somebody's actual life. If this has actually gotten you to a point where you want to speak up, but you weren't speaking up when this individual died, then I don't feel bad at all.
Now, as the protest was moving through Iowa City, and like I said, they were walking right down the middle of the road, and they have been for hours now, it was attracting a lot of attention. There were a lot of people who were coming out to cheer on the protesters, to wave at them, to honk in a show of support. And even at the Deadwood, a bar in downtown Iowa City, the employees there were passing out cups of water to the protesters because it's been pretty warm out here for the most part. Live in Iowa City, Mary Green, KCRG TV9 News.
We are interrupting programming to bring you a live update about a clash between protesters and police in Iowa City. We're going to take a live look. Now, these protesters have been marching since about 6 tonight. They were on Dubuque Street, approaching the interchange over Interstate 80. Now, what you're looking at is many protesters. We're talking numbering and potentially in the hundreds. And beyond there, you see flashing lights. Those were police officers who were lined up, we believe, in an attempt to stop the marchers from getting onto Interstate 80.
Awesome. Well, for those of you who are with us right now, we are at the protest through Iowa City. Mary Green here. I'm with Mike O'Brien as well. So you can see the group up here, and past them, those flashing blue and red lights. Law enforcement blocking Dubuque Street headed towards the interstate. So it's kind of a look. There are some cars as well who are part of the protest hanging out. They've been following along for just about all the night. Like I said earlier, some of the protesters had been tagging some property, really like a lot of signs, a lot of sidewalk, a lot in the road. And that was something that they did last night as well. Okay, they're linking up right here. And here's a look at the officers up there. Now, earlier today, like I said, we talked with a few of the protesters and asked them, what are your goals of these protests? What do you hope to accomplish? And they said the big thing, they want to have a conversation with leaders and with law enforcement. Okay, so this person moved up there. At the same time, the group is getting closer. They're moving up. Got people running. We are going back here. Okay, folks, we just heard appear to be some flashbangs possibly going off here. Oh, and we got, looks like we got some gaseous. Okay. Woo. Okay, Mike and I, watch out, Mike, there's a bike behind you. Mike and I are backing up here. There is.
Burn in hell!
Come on, Mike. I got your back.
Oh, sorry.
I got your back, you're good. Okay, everyone, Mike and I are backing up here.
Hey, did anything instigate that at all? No, nothing. No, absolutely nothing. Not a thing.
Okay, oh, we are backing up. Mike, I got you, Mike. Mike and I are backing up here. Appear to be some flashbangs going off. There's some gas in the air. Protesters are saying nothing incident. They say nothing happened. That's what the protesters are telling us. Again, Mike and I, we're kind of keeping a distance back there, but this is on North Dubuque Street.
It is very, very intense. You can just see all of that lightning activity in central Iowa. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Grundy and Hardin County until noon today. That's on the north end of this line of storms, which is very, very intense and affecting mostly areas in the central part of the viewing area. That's where warning in effect for Marshall, Tama, Poweshiek, as well as northern Mahaska counties until noon. That's for the threat of winds up to 80 miles per hour, and that's not just a threat of them. They have occurred in central Iowa in the Des Moines area. There's a report of part of the roof torn off of the minor league hockey team in Des Moines.
But I do understand we have some video from Des Moines as the storms pass through. Those storms now are to the east of Des Moines. Now you can see what it looked like as the storms were moving through. Goodness. Looks like a Casey station. You can see that.
I understand that the newsroom has gathered some video of the storm as it entered downtown Cedar Rapids. Let's take a look just from out the front of our building. Yeah, that's not a scene that you see very often in eastern Iowa. Very intense winds.
That would be 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1 inch hail, as well as some very, very heavy rains. Take a look at this. This is from inside as the storm was passing in and through downtown Cedar Rapids. Just intense sheets of rain.
And the storm moved in 20 minutes ago. And this is still going on. This is exceptionally strong winds for an exceptionally long amount of time. Again, don't be driving around right now because of that potential for flying debris.
Doubled with those strong winds that just continue. Look at that. I have never seen that in almost 30 years here at TV9 of debris in the downtown area flying like that right toward our entrance here at TV9.
Yeah, again, these are not tornadoes. This is just straight line winds, and straight line winds can do serious damage, and we're seeing that right now. I mean, you can see the street sign is laying on the street there, just to the left of the door there on the right side of your screen. It's just kind of hanging out there because we've had such intense winds, and it still continues. That is a very intense wind gust right now in downtown Cedar Rapids. Peeled off another small piece of that awning of the building across the street here. There goes another piece of it. Could be shingles or roof coverings in downtown.
In some ways, you're experiencing what a hurricane would be like.
Yep.
Okay, northwest Cedar Rapids by Harrison Elementary. You're looking at, from a deck perhaps, you're looking out at some damage, certainly some structural damage. There you see a tree branch down on some cars. Same area as well.
Oh boy.
Same area. So again, more tree damage. You're going to see this picture repeated across many portions of eastern Iowa, south of Highway 20 as the storms continue to move through. Same neighborhood. Another tree down.
Damage. We've got pieces of our roof off. We've got light poles down. Signs. Still really windy out here. Not as bad, not as windy as it was earlier. Again, we're out front of our station here at 2nd Avenue Southeast in downtown Cedar Rapids. You can see we've got some maintenance vehicles going by already, and you can see the water still flooding the streets right now. We've got down signs.
I've easily seen at least 10 semis on their sides or overturned. The first ones that I saw were towards North Liberty, headed north towards Cedar Rapids, but the more I progressed at the 218, 380, where that meets there near Kirkwood College, there was a couple turned over there. And then right before you get to downtown Cedar Rapids, there was 2 on their sides southbound on 380. And then just past the J Avenue exit heading again, north on 380, another one turned over there.
Looks like there it is. There's an overturned semi just to the northbound
Yeah, there you go. You can
right
see
side.
it. Yep.
Brandon, tell us what you saw.
I saw about like every single thing: wind, trees. There's a lot of buildings down here. It's really crazy right now. At my house right now, I got the window busted out right now, so I got to call my insurance.
And what part of town do you live in?
Southeast side.
We have no reports of injuries or deaths given the very strong storms called a derecho that came through between 12:30 to 1:30 this afternoon.
Well, we are joined this evening, with Lane County Sheriff Brian Gardner. And Sheriff, how is the Sheriff's Office supporting the response to the storm?
Well, basically, we're responding to calls for service, mostly at this point in time involving traffic control, debris in the roadway. We're assisting fire departments with lines down, standby for lines down, gas leaks, calls like that, in and amongst the normal calls for service that we're continuing to have in the middle of this disaster.
What are you prioritizing as you begin what will be this long process?
Sure. Well, always life safety issues are the first priority. Anytime there's an emergency call where a person's life is at stake or potentially at risk, then we respond to that in emergent. Otherwise, it's just making sure that, we're getting at 5 o'clock right now. People are trying to get home. We know that's going to be a little bit of a task for some people, so we're trying to help assist get the roadways cleared up and get people home. And would offer the suggestion, once you get home, stay home.
This is going to be not hours, not days, weeks, potentially months, likely months worth of recovery.
And then we found this building right here. It partially collapsed on itself. We actually drove here from northwest Cedar Rapids. And when we were there, we saw a bunch of trees and power lines down. We saw a bunch of vehicles totaled because they had a tree going through them. But I got here about our building, our friend Mark Stouffer Hunter. Mark, you're a historian here. You may have an idea of what made this building partially collapse.
Yeah, actually it has to do with the history of it. We're standing in front of 320 First Street Southeast across from the old Smolikoff building, and this is about a 50-year-old building. It's actually been empty since the 2008 flood 12 years ago, but one of its walls actually depended on the surviving wall of an older building that was torn down about 50 years ago. It was a building built by the Whitwer family, and that was the wall that got the brunt of the power of the winds today in the storm, and that's why it collapsed. The wall was just older and weaker, and thus destroyed the entire newer building right here. History had a role to play in what types of building collapses we saw today during the storm.
If we get a look at our radar history today. So let's start at 3 a.m. this morning. This is about when my alarm went off today. We saw some storms developing, very isolated though, in southern South Dakota, but they started to build as we went over the next couple of hours, and they started to turn severe. And then you notice it starts to get that little bit of organization into a line. The thing is though, at this time, those storms were behind the cold front. Front was way back here, so they weren't producing a whole lot of damage. And so that's why when they reached that front, that's when those storms really got organized and proceeded to produce all of that damage. Excuse me. You can really see them take shape by central Iowa and then push to the east into Illinois.
The derecho, as Corey mentioned, is a widespread, long-lived, straight-line wind. When it moved through, moved about 70 miles per hour once those storms really got going. And the winds were from 70 to about 112 miles per hour. Now, two other derechos to remember in eastern Iowa, and you do if you were in Iowa, Johnson, Washington County in 1998. It was June of 1998. And then 2011, of course, that was in the Vinton derecho moved through. That was an early morning event. Take a look at our storm reports. This is for the past 24 hours, but really the past 12 hours. Western Iowa, back across central Iowa, through eastern Iowa. Numerous storm reports, but the majority of these, high wind reports as well as wind damage reports.
And here's what a good part of eastern Iowa saw throughout the afternoon. Severe weather, including hurricane strength wind pushing through, leading to so much damage.
Going to take a look at this construction site. Wow, near Kirkwood Community College in Cedar Rapids. You can hear people reacting, see those trees just bending, kissing the ground, and debris flying through the air, not to mention all that rain.
Highway 50 near Urbana, where vehicles mostly stopped to wait out the storm. This is as it's happening. Little visibility. Imagine being out in this. Wind topping more than 100 miles an hour in some places.
Chris, right now we are outside Kennedy High School in northeast Cedar Rapids, and just driving around the perimeter of the school, there is a lot of debris, a lot of trees that are down, certainly even more branches strewn across the lawn. A lot of roofing that looks like that has also been scattered along the lawn in front of Kennedy. parts of the roof that you can tell outside the Performing Arts Center, part of that roof is just peeled back like a tin can. It's hanging over the side of the building right now. The athletic fields themselves sustained what appears to be quite a bit of damage as well.
We're at Veterans Memorial Coliseum in the southwest part of town, and I'm sitting in right field where the outfield wall is completely down. It's not just right field, it's the left field wall, it's the center field wall. The entire outfield wall is completely down, and it's not just the outfield. The advertisements that are normally held down by cement blocks, completely broken. The metal bar is actually bent, and if you move further to center field, then you could see the outfield lights. They've been completely taken off their base. The wires are exposed.
You're watching KCRG TV 9, now from your 24-hour news source. This is KCRG TV 9 News at 6.
Today is exactly a month since the derecho, which knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of people. It changed lives and perhaps livelihoods forever in eastern Iowa, from people facing homelessness in just minutes to trees crushing cars, trucks, and businesses.
Well, there were many who needed help in the immediate aftermath of the storm. But KCRG TV 9 investigative reporter Ethan Stein found out a county official denied help from outside sources. And Ethan's live in our newsroom to tell us the story.
Beth, Chris, new emails and cover from I-9 show the Linn County Emergency Management Coordinator denied help from other public agencies and sometimes ignored help from corporations reaching out after the storm. 1 month after the derecho, I-9 learned of new emails where Linn County Emergency Management declined help from other public agencies. One email from Coordinator Steve O'Connick says, "We got whacked," but then says, "I think we're good for now," after Delaware Emergency Management offered to help if needed Wednesday through Friday.
What was good about that situation?
We showed our findings to Raymond Siddell, whose relief efforts without assistance have grown from the grill outside an office building feeding thousands to a full-blown warehouse.
And to have another county emergency management agency reach out, offering their help immediately, to basically be turned away, told we're good, we don't need you. Wow.
He's visibly frustrated, and we haven't told him what else we found. I-9 also found emails of the breakfast food chain Denny's reaching out to send a food truck to help feed people for free. But when we reached out to the company, a spokesperson confirmed Denny's did reach out to emergency management, but did not receive a response.
It was ignored. It was ignored.
The man who declined help and ignored other requests for help is Linn County Emergency Management Coordinator Steve O'Connick.
I did not know. I anticipated the need for that, but I also didn't have a way of saying, oh yes, please come help us because we need you. And then what if they would shown up? What if we didn't need them?
He says it's the job of non-government organizations, or NGOs, particularly United Way, to organize volunteer efforts rather than the emergency management coordinator who is doing other jobs, but acknowledges there are ways his department can improve. Back in his warehouse, Raymond thinks the consequences of ignoring help from even one company can multiply.
They're not coming back. They're not asking. And I'm sure that these relief efforts, hot food or what have you, doesn't matter what it is, I'm sure that they all communicate too, to identify the need and make sure that they're not, oversaturating a market that doesn't need additional resources. And when they find out that they're ignored or turned down, maybe they didn't reach out at all.
United Way of East Central Iowa says its registration portal was up Wednesday morning. We've tried to get emails for the city of Cedar Rapids, for the city council, the mayor, and city manager, but they're asking for over $1,000 for those emails. Live in the newsroom, Ethan Stein, KCRG TV 9 News.
The Iowa National Guard says it was standing ready after last month's derecho and could have helped with shelters and manpower. Instead, it took days for any formal request for help to come in.
Our I-9 investigation found the city of Cedar Rapids only made that request after the Iowa National Guard was on its way. That derecho hit back on Monday, August the 10th, with winds up to 140 miles per hour. By the next morning, the city has said it was asking for the National Guard to help, but the first members of the Guard did not arrive until late Thursday, with most of the 100 Guard members arriving on Friday. They primarily helped to clear those downed trees for power crews to work. It was not until Friday that the Palo Community Center opened as the first overnight shelter in the Cedar Rapids area. KCRG TV9's investigative reporter Ethan Stein joins us live here in Cedar Rapids after investigating that delay in getting National Guard help. Ethan.
The city is saying they've asked for the National Guard since Tuesday, but our investigation found out the city knew those asks would not actually lead to the National Guard coming. This document is the first time the city made any formal request that would activate the Guard's disaster response. It was dated for 6 p.m. Thursday after the storm, when we know the Guard was already on its way. The city says it was surprised to learn the Guard was coming, and then they scrambled to submit a request. To this day, city leaders can't answer what prompted the Guard to come to Cedar Rapids, and still some questions if that help was really needed. By the time the Iowa National Guard was on its way to Cedar Rapids, Fire Chief Greg Smith, who coordinated the city's disaster response, says he did not think there was a mission for them.
By that point, we had not made a formal written request, nor did I think that they were able to serve any missions that we needed at that point.
But the city says it made verbal requests for National Guard help the day after the derecho. Those requests never made it to the National Guard, and the city knew it. Chief Smith says he asked for National Guard help with clearing tree debris to Lynn County Emergency Management Coordinator Steve O'Connick. But O'Connick says the request was more of a discussion, and Chief Smith didn't follow up with a formal request.
I never saw a formal request from the city of Cedar Rapids or any agency for the National Guard until after we were told that they were coming.
The city's insistence that it was asking for Guard help is a sore point for Major General Ben Correll, the head of the Iowa National Guard.
Well, is it frustrating that the city's throwing you guys under the bus?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to take it.
He says that formal written request is the only way he can know if his troops are needed.
Even if they would put it in the Cedar Rapids Gazette and say we want the National Guard, that would not necessarily be a demand signal that we could respond to. It would be an indicator that there's going to be something coming, but there wasn't that.
Chief Smith has 10 plus years of disaster experience. He knew the decision of who responds to a request is made at the state level. Smith said he didn't do that, trusting Steve O'Connick's advisement that the Guard couldn't help with tree removal.
But I trust that his knowledge and his working knowledge, I know his work history.
Smith says none of the other requests he made for state assistance would activate a Guard response either. But he says he wanted the Guard here as more of a symbolic public display for storm victims.
You know, obviously you see somebody in a uniform or you see somebody especially in fatigues and you go, I have a comfort level, I feel protected.
While the Guard agrees it is not best equipped for debris removal, it could have helped with other tasks that the city did not immediately request, like providing shelters. The first overnight shelter in the area did not open until Friday in Palo, 4 days after the derecho. The first shelter in Cedar Rapids opened later that evening. That contributed to scenes like this: people sleeping in tents outside of storm-damaged apartments. The Guard can also provide manpower for humanitarian missions. Instead, city emails show the city scrambled to find enough staff to open up charging stations and city resource centers. But Chief Smith says he didn't fully understand that, so never requested it.
I knew that they could do some sort of humanitarian mission. I did not know any of the specifics, and that was one of our conversations with the local Guard unit.
That's also partially because it's by design. The city is not in charge of shelters or humanitarian relief. That duty falls to nonprofits like the United Way and the American Red Cross. Chief Smith says he had reassurances from those agencies that those tasks were under control. So the big question is, who called the National Guard? And the truth is that nobody knows, and that includes the city. Live in Cedar Rapids, Ethan Stein, KCRG TV9 News.
It is a Facebook post that is spreading fast on social media, but is it true? The I-9 team has been fact-checking claims connected to COVID-19, and this one was a big one.
There's so much. We had to break it into two parts for you. KCRG TV9's news director Adam Karras gets us started with this fact check.
This Facebook message is similar to others circulating online and in emails. It cites unnamed doctors, sometimes from China, in giving a list of ways to prevent getting COVID-19. While most of the tips aren't harmful, they also aren't all truthful. It starts off with an accurate claim to draw you in, that COVID-19 attacks your respiratory system. We'll focus first on a group of them that center on staying hydrated. The email recommends drinking lots of warm beverages, gargling salt water or mouthwash, and sipping liquid every 20 minutes. All of these center on a claim that the virus can get stuck in your mouth and throat, so liquids can wash it into your stomach where it will be killed. That is false. Drinking lots of liquids when you are sick is good advice. Your mom probably told you that. But several health experts, including the World Health Organization, confirmed drinking water will not prevent the coronavirus. It also advises eating lots of fruits and vegetables, foods high in zinc. UC Health Hospitals in Colorado says there is good evidence zinc can help fight another type of coronavirus, the common cold. But there is no study yet to confirm it will work on this coronavirus. A leading expert on coronaviruses recommends taking zinc at the first sign of symptoms, but even he notes that's not a guarantee you won't get COVID-19. So zinc gets a maybe. This list does include 2 accurate claims we already confirmed. You cannot get the virus from your pets, and don't smoke. It can make your symptoms worse. But that's only half of the claims in this viral post. Adam Karras, KCRG TV 9 News.
And Adam will have the rest of that fact check tonight at 6 and on KCRG.com. So if you see a rumor or speculation about the coronavirus outbreak, send it to us to check it out. You can message the KCRG Facebook page or email questions at KCRG.com. A viral Facebook post is spreading misinformation about COVID-19, and that's why our I-9 team has been working to fact-check the claims you send us. This one was so big, we broke it up into 2 parts.
KCRG TV 9 News Director Adam Karras details the second half of this claim.
This Facebook post shares 10 tips to prevent COVID-19, citing unnamed doctors. Among the claims, the virus lives in your throat for days. That's false. Drinking lots of water or gargling can wash it out and keep you from getting sick. Also false. And that eating fruits and vegetables high in zinc will help. That's a maybe. It is true that your pet can't spread it to you and that smoking may make you more susceptible. It recommends washing your hands every 20 minutes. Maybe excessive, but not harmful. It also claims the virus can cling to hair and clothing, so you should shower and change clothes as soon as you come home. That advice may be overkill, but it is true that the virus can cling to hair and clothes. The tip also suggests the sun can kill the virus. That is false. Intense UV light can kill viruses, but the sun does not produce enough of it to be effective. It also claims the virus can live on metallic surfaces for up to 9 days. That's kind of true. A study from the National Institutes of Health says the virus can live on stainless steel for just 3 days. But a CDC report found the virus on a cruise ship 17 days after people evacuated. Finally, it says if you can hold your breath for 10 seconds without coughing, you don't have coronavirus. Yep, that's false. The head of infectious diseases at the University of Maryland says most young patients who get sick will have no problem passing that test, while many older people couldn't do that while healthy. One New York doctor said it was just made up. So if you see a post with tips like these, share them with us before you share online. Adam Karras, KCRG TV 9 News.
The ABC website here tonight, just to try to get an indication of why results are so slow. And the campaign has told, the Democratic Party has told ABC that they're basically doing quality control.
They don't want to have a whoops.
Oh, not at all.
Now, the night, however, was not without controversy. I guess there were a number of individuals who filled out both sides of their papers, picking which candidate they wanted to support. They were not able to count those ballots. They did their best to try and find the people who had written on them so they could find the right candidates for them. And while you guys still wait to figure out what happens, at least when it comes to this precinct, Pete Buttigieg is the one who came in first. Back to you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Josh.
I'm jotting that down. We have one precinct where
We have one report. When you have hundreds of people in some of these sites too, you got to keep track of all these little pieces of paper. So, I mean, the theory is that if you have people fill these out, as soon as they're done with that viability, if they just have to fill out that front side, that they go around and collect those cards, those people can then leave if they want to. And some people aren't even waiting to see if their candidate's viable, and they may walk out the door with the card in their hand. That kind of defeats the purpose of why they created these cards in the first place.
And it sounds like people got confused. They got checked in, got their card, can be filled out both sides.
I mean, the New York Times is reporting that there were precinct chairs that were reporting problems with the app even before it started tonight. So they were having problems even tabulating what's the viability threshold, because the app does all of that for you.
Yeah.
You can use the app and you can type in, okay, I've got 437 people, what's 15%? What do I need to tell this group of people that's viable? And so they're not only having problems getting that started, they're now having problems getting the numbers reported. So the Democratic Party is encouraging those precinct chairs to use the old-fashioned call-in system with a secure hotline they've set up to report the results, so we can have something to pass along to you.
Yes.
KCRG TV9's Chris Earl is standing by live. He is at sort of the nucleus of the Iowa Caucus Media Center. We've been waiting on results. Chris, you're supposed to be getting them first. Are you seeing anything trickle in?
As we're approaching the 10 o'clock hour, if you're looking at some of the national outlets, there's kind of a level of exasperation in the air right now over when these results are going to start really trickling in. And the reports are just kind of very scattered as to why this is. I've been trying to also get an answer myself, but I've not been able to find the people who can give a direct answer for this right now.
We just received a statement from the Iowa Democrats on the delays. It says the integrity of the results is paramount. We have experienced a delay in the results due to quality checks and the fact that the IDP is reporting out 3 data sets for the first time, IDP, the Iowa Democratic Party. What we know right now is that around 25% of precincts have reported, and early data indicates turnout is on pace for 2016. This is the kickoff for the presidential campaign. We can tell you that Republican Donald Trump did win the Republican caucuses tonight here in Iowa.
Easily.
Easily. We understand in Iowa City, the biggest one there, they're just now leaving.
Yes, and they were hoping this process of only having two alignments would make things go more quickly.
It was a pretty long night, but that was to be expected. They had 876 people here. So the 132 was the viability number tonight. That's how many people had to be in a group for it to be viable. And the final alignment just ended. Those numbers, Sanders jumped up a little bit with 295, Warren 304, and Amy Klobuchar actually got 143. So those are the 3 viable groups coming out tonight. Now Sanders and Warren both got 5 delegates allocated to them, so 5 for each of them. Klobuchar got 2 delegates.
You've been looking into this about how the Democratic Party is changing for the first time in its history how it is reporting. It went from reporting 1 set of numbers to reporting 3 set of numbers, and maybe that's why we're having this delay. This is a big change.
They say they wanted to do this to be more transparent in the process, because prior to this year, they never reported that first alignment or the raw second alignment, or what this year is considered that final alignment in terms of people. And so in an effort to become more transparent, they've complicated the process a little bit, and they were getting calls early on into their hotline, and it wasn't from results, it was from these precinct chairs saying, we're having trouble with the app. We're having trouble even tabulating viability in the app, let alone reporting the first alignment, the second alignment, and then that delegate count.
One woman who caucused for Joe Biden tonight around Des Moines, and she said in that precinct that Biden did reach viability. So everybody hoping for a win. And I also spoke to Biden's national press secretary this afternoon, and he told me that their goal for tonight was to show that they have a strong campaign, but that Iowa is also only the very first step in a long road to the eventual Democratic nominating process. And we'd really like to see those results, of course, here tonight.
We now will be going to Amy Klobuchar as she is about to take the stage, we understand, with her campaign. They are waiting for results just as we are.
Our country cannot take another 4 years of Donald Trump. Our collective sense of decency can't take another 4 years. The rule of law can't withstand another 4 years of a president that thinks he's above it.
But what we're hearing on social media is a lot of these precinct secretaries and chairs are having trouble even getting their results into the Iowa Democratic Party. So once the app had issues, which is how they're supposed to be reporting those results tonight, they were encouraged to call into a hotline. There's not a lot of lines to get in to report those results. So people are waiting on hold for several minutes, up to an hour, then sometimes told, you don't have the right information, we're going to call you back in 45 minutes, and then for them to just call back and be on hold again. So you can understand the frustration not only of people who are watching us tonight wondering where are the results, they're trying to get them into the Iowa Democratic Party.
We have to remember there are nearly 1,700 precincts
Yeah.
in the state. It's not like just calling in from one county.
You can get more results just scrolling through social media, because there are people who are saying these are the results, these are the alignment results from the first alignment, second alignment, and the delegate allocation from my precinct. You can get more information scrolling through Facebook and seeing some of those posts than what we're hearing from the party tonight.
The Iowa Democratic Party Communications Director just sent out this statement. We found inconsistencies in the reporting of 3 sets of results. In addition to the text systems being used to tabulate results, we're also using photos of results and a paper trail to validate that all results match and ensure that we have confidence and accuracy in the numbers we report. This is simply a reporting issue. The app did not go down. This is not a hack or an intrusion. The underlying data and paper trail is sound. We simply are taking time to further report the results. So let me emphasize this again. It's of the 3 sets of results.
Well, the Iowa Democratic Party is working to get this result, get them straight. And I want to make sure they're very careful in their deliberations. And indications are, from our indications, it's going to be close. We're going to walk out of here with our share of delegates. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but we feel good about where we are. And look, so it's on to New Hampshire.
And when those results are announced, I have a good feeling we're going to be doing very, very well here in Iowa.
Wow, we have just received this letter from basically to the Iowa Democratic Party from Joe Biden's general counsel in the Biden for President campaign.
They write on behalf of Biden for President campaign regarding the considerable flaws in tonight's Iowa caucus reporting system. The app that was intended to relay caucus results to the party failed. The party's backup telephonic reporting system likewise has failed. Now we understand that caucus chairs are attempting to, and in many cases, failing to report results telephonically to the party. These acute failures are occurring statewide.
In this world, there are anglers and there are fly fishermen. It is the type of fishing featured in the movie. A river runs through it.
It can take years to perfect, but John Campbell found a young man who's off to a very early start.
I'm gonna make a woolly bugger right now, and I'm gonna make it like a really cool one.
It's not everyone who can tie a woolly bugger, but 8-year-old Austin White of Manchester likes nothing better than tying flies. Check that, there is one thing better. Fly fishing with woolly buggers. Have you caught them on the woolly buggers before, Austin?
Yeah, we've caught them on there. We've caught like trout, a lot of stuff on it.
Say trout, bass, all kinds of stuff. He's been fishing since he could hold a rod pretty much. And then last year, we got into some fish and had some fun. But this year, he really turned it on.
Of that, there's probably gonna be like 1 or 2 carp down there, and that's what I'm probably gonna try to catch.
Okay. Is this a good spot?
They really like to hang up and get up by these currents.
By now, you may have noticed 8-year-old Austin White is a fly fisherman, and not many 8-year-olds can say that, much less do it. His dad, Jason White, remembers the day it all started.
We were out fishing the one day, and I had my fly rod, and he had his regular spinning rod. And I was out fishing him, he didn't like it, and he said he wanted to use it, so I gave him some tips and pointers, and he took off with it.
Fly fishing, you're more likely to catch more fish than other fishing.
Hold on. What you got, dude?
Get over here.
Hey, how about that, Austin?
That was nice.
All right.
He just came out of the middle of nowhere and he just striked it.
He hit it, huh?
Yeah, I felt it. He hit it hard. Can I change my lure to a different lure?
Oh, you're catching him on that. I just leave him on that for now.
Good call, Dad. Austin was soon battling his second smallmouth of the day.
As long as he's out fishing, he don't care. He don't want to do nothing else but fish, which I'm okay with, because that means I get to do more fishing that way.
On this beautiful autumn afternoon, Austin White pulled in 3. Jason was staring at a shutout, but he wouldn't have it any other way.
And he's just been tearing them up on a fly rod. He don't even want to take a spinning rod anymore. So if he wants to fly fish, I'll be more than happy to take him and do it. It's fun. I love getting out fished by my son. It doesn't get any better than that.
Whether it's for vehicles or generators, Eastern Iowans are going to great lengths, often waiting for a long time to get fuel.
The state is asking people in Linn County to be patient after reporting that power could be out for several days.
And other companies are asking people to be patient as they try to get those lines of communication that just about all of us use to stay in touch back and working.
You're watching KCRG TV 9, now from your 24-hour news source. This is KCRG TV 9 News at 6.
And here's a look early this morning from Newsdrone 9. Lots of people with chainsaws trying to work to clean up wherever they were. This is just behind McKinley Middle School in Cedar Rapids. You see some of the damage from the Catherine McCauley Center. That's 5th Avenue Southeast, just east of 10th Street. That scene played out. Hundreds of blocks, if not more, in Cedar Rapids today. So much of eastern Iowa, though, will stay in the dark tonight, now more than 24 hours since those hurricane-force winds hit Iowa yesterday.
Yeah, those lucky few, those of you out there with generators, you are very popular right now. But unfortunately, so many more people don't have any way to power their homes. KCRG TV9's Fernando Garcia even found people who were traveling far out of town just to find fuel. Fernando?
Beth, Chris, we went to a couple of gas stations in Anamosa and Monticello and found people from Cedar Rapids, Marion, Mount Vernon, and all of them talked about how devastated their communities were because of the storm. Most of them were just looking to fill their tanks, but others were looking for gas for their chainsaws and their generators. And I spoke with a woman from Mount Vernon who spent over an hour in a line in Anamosa.
We don't have power in Mount Vernon. There's a lot of trees down. It's pretty bad. My cell phone is the only way that I have to communicate, and even though it doesn't work very well, I still need to charge it. And so I need gas for my car so that I can charge my phone.
I also spoke to a man from Marion who had traveled to Monticello after trying 3 or 4 other stations closer to home, and he says the lines were just too long to wait. And many of them were telling me that they're just taking precautions in case they have to stay without power for a couple of days. Live in Cedar Rapids, Fernando Garcia, Franceschini, KCRG TV 9 News.
A Solon man died while riding his bike during Monday's storm. Emergency workers found 63-year-old Thomas Rowland on a bike trail near Ely Road and Wright Brothers Boulevard yesterday afternoon around 2. The Linn County Sheriff's Office says a tree hit Rowland during the storm and that killed him. He's the only known fatality at this point of yesterday's storm. As of Monday, about 50 people just in Cedar Rapids were hurt in it.
Today, Governor Kim Reynolds announced some help for some Iowans who may have lower incomes.
Yeah, folks who had storm damage and are up to 200% of the federal poverty line can qualify for up to $5,000.
The state IA program, as it's called, is a grant of up to $5,000 for low-income residents who are at or less than 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. Of note, this program covers replacement of spoiled or destroyed food, up to a maximum of $50 for one person or $25 for each additional person in the household.
The governor also issued a disaster proclamation that now covers 20 counties. Those include Tama, Poweshiek, Benton, Lynn Johnson, Cedar, Iowa, and Washington counties, those in eastern Iowa. Counties do have to request state assistance and be added to the list. And hundreds of thousands of people in Iowa are still without power right now.
And lots of people working, so you can probably hear behind us as well right here. And so TV9's Aaron Hossman now joins us. And is there a timeline, Aaron, for when you're hearing the power is going to get back on for people?
Well, I keep hearing the same thing. It's going to take several days for power to be restored. That's from both Mid-American and Alliant Energy after speaking with them today. And right now, that's over 200,000 people in the Cedar Rapids area. Now, earlier today, over on 29th Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids today, we did find crews working on main lines they say are connected to substations. A spokesperson from Alliant's corporate office tells me because of the extent of damage, it's going to take several days again to restore any power. Repairs will happen systematically, prioritizing places like hospitals and nursing homes with immediate need, and then onto neighborhoods with the largest number of customers, then onto businesses, and then those individuals without power. But in the meantime, there are some things that you can do to make sure your home's ready for repairs.
The electrical connection that's on the side of your home
If that is down or impacted, you'll need to call an electrician to have them come in and repair that. That's considered your homeowner responsibility. And I would advise you to call an electrician and have that done sooner than later, because that will allow, when our crews come through, for them to restore the services.
People are also advised to stay away from any down power lines and report any of those power lines, and always assume those lines could be live or dangerous. Now, I also spoke with Mid-American Energy, which supplies a lot of the electricity to the Iowa City area. As of last night, it was about 26,000 people without power. In their latest update, they've gotten that down to now 17,000. Chris and Beth?
Thank you so much, Aaron. It is a relief that we don't have rain today, but unfortunately there is rain in the forecast.
There have been times we've been able to catch some of the cool breezes while we've been out here between 4 and right now. That's been most welcome. I know anybody who's been cleaning up has certainly been welcoming this. So we'll bring in meteorologist Joe Winters with a look at that first alert forecast. Joe.
Well, the weather outside, as you mentioned, very comfortably cool for this time in August. Many times we can see incredibly hot and humid conditions. We felt that for a period of time yesterday ahead of the storms. Now the comfortable weather is with us for a couple of days, and really more of that to come next week. We'll show you that 9-day forecast coming up in a little while. First, take a look at TV9's live First Alert Pinpoint Doppler radar. Quite a different picture. Dry conditions across the area. They were dry today and staying dry tonight. What do you need to know? Well, first of all, it has been a refreshing change. Staying very comfortable all the way through the mid part of the week with the dew points down and low. As we look ahead, though, at the weekend, you're going to notice an occasional chance of a shower or storm. I really think overall it is mainly dry. Those are minimal chances at best. We are just going to enjoy what we've had and see that drought really kind of increase. Yesterday's storms, a rarity across eastern Iowa for rainfall so far this fall. Let's take a look at the Coralville-McGrath City Cam right now. That's live. 80 in Iowa City, 80 in Coralville, 78 in Butte, 81 in Cedar Rapids. Winds are light and the dew points are fairly low. There's your planner. Heading through the evening, we stay dry and comfortable. That overnight low dips down near 62 degrees with that light easterly breeze. We'll take a look at that 9-day forecast in a little while and find out when the best next chance of storms moves in.
Thank you, Joe. Cedar Rapids crews are working day and night to try to clean up some of that storm damage. Yep. They say that they are prioritizing trees and limbs that are hazardous or blocking roads.
The city is asking people to report any tree damage through the online portal and not by phone. The Solid Waste Agency in Cedar Rapids says anyone bringing storm debris to the landfill will be charged. And a citywide curfew is once again happening tonight. That'll start at 10 in the evening, go till 6 tomorrow morning. That curfew, it's in place till further notice. Garbage and recycling collection is canceled this week, along with transit services, so no bus service. That is suspended through tomorrow. Now, Iowa City is asking people to place debris and brush on the curb out of the right-of-way and to not put it around any fire hydrants, any mailboxes or signposts, and don't put it in the street. Anyone in Iowa City who lives there can also take any size debris to the landfill free of charge from 7 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. And that damage is now leaving many across eastern Iowa having to spend hours outside after only 2 minutes of high winds.
KCRG TV9's Aaron Scheinblum joins us now, and I mean, all of us are affected by this. I was out with my son for about 2 hours chopping up trees and picking up branches today. When you were going throughout the neighborhoods of Cedar Rapids, what did you see today?
Well, Chris, what I can tell you is there's a common denominator in Cedar Rapids and throughout eastern Iowa. There is a lot of damage, and most of that has to do to some of the trees that had blown over throughout the area. That's forcing everyone now to begin to clean up and rebuild.
My husband this morning cleared out pretty much the front yard and the backyard already, and that's like right here on the curb.
Leaf-covered lawns and bunches of branches.
It just went right through them.
For Janice Kais, just more than 24 hours removed from hurricane-level winds, signs still remain.
All of our plants were on their sides, and we set everything back up. That flower right there I took into the garage, so that's why it looks, nicer.
But no mark is bigger than a decades-old pine tree.
It's been here for probably at least 50 years. It's probably since the beginning of when our house was built in 54. And it just took that tree and pulled it up from its roots.
Despite losing some memories, she's still fortunate compared to nearby neighbors. Her house is still intact and no one was hurt, but a once standing tall tree is now laid down across 3 backyards.
I'm thankful that my family is intact and we're all fine. So this all can be rebuilt.
Leaving her now to clean up and prepare for the future.
We just have to pick up the pieces and get a lot of help from other sources around and pray to God that it all works out. I'm sure it will. It always does.
Now Kais and other homeowners like her will share a new common bond, and that's the heavy workload that still remains. Beth and Chris.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Now, Bowman Woods neighborhood in Cedar Rapids, it was hit by a storm in April, and now it's been hit again.
And that one damaged homes, trees, campers, but luckily no major injuries reported. Stay with your 24-hour news source, KCRG TV 9.
You see damage. Largely trees falling, unfortunately sometimes trees falling onto cars, in my experience onto homes. And so starting at 9 this morning in my house, chainsaws. And I think we were one of many in good company.
That was pretty common all the way throughout. KCRG TV 9's Scott Sable talked to people in the Bowman Woods neighborhood, an area that took on tree and storm damage earlier this year.
You know, Plum Court used to be totally beautiful. Now it's just stripped of our trees. It's very sad.
Oh, hi, neighbor.
You guys are working hard.
At the crack of dawn, the second day of cleanup in the Bowman Woods neighborhood of Cedar Rapids was underway.
The house is damaged again. The storm in April got us. We just had a new roof a month ago, just having new siding put on, and now we got to start over again. Yeah, we got some great help. Unfortunately, all of our trees are ruined, but we're going to be fine. Everybody's okay. So the neighborhood's coming together to take care of things, and it's a great thing.
Houses were hit hard in Bowman Woods with massive trees landing on top of homes, even landing in the middle of bedrooms.
Yes, uprooted the whole thing, unfortunately. It's a bigger one in the backyard. Yeah, it's terrible, devastating. Looks like a war zone or something.
Yeah, I saw one with a tree right down the center of it in Brentwood. It just broke the spine.
Trees also did damage to vehicles and even campers.
That was the roof inside the screened-in porch right there. 100-mile-an-hour wind caught that, lifted it up, it impaled the camper. That piece of wood right there is impaled probably a foot or two inside the camper.
The size of the trees that were uprooted were hard to believe.
Tore them out of the ground. And look at the ball of clay underneath. You know, it's just a huge root ball, you know, and for an individual homeowner, it's going to cost $10,000 to clean it up.
The force of the wind was so strong, it even ripped up sidewalks.
The sod, the sidewalk, everything came up when the tree went down. It was just unbelievable.
Luckily, everyone I talked to today saw the weather warnings and were all in their basements, and nobody was injured. That is the most important thing. Scott Sable, KCRG TV 9 News.
Electricity is not the only thing leaving eastern Iowans in the dark after Monday's storm.
Yeah, down cell towers and no internet access means so many people can't stay connected to let people know they're okay and find out if they need any help.
The constant today might be all the damage, especially in Cedar Rapids. One of the inconsistencies, cell phone reception.
Yeah.
You go to one part, you're getting 3 bars, you don't want to go. You go to another part, you got no service.
Right.
So you kind of keep driving around it. It's tough to place a call or a text.
We're on cell phones out here so that we can communicate with our producer back in the building, and it's going in and out. So we're all experiencing some connectivity problems, and the thing we're asking each other and our reporters and you're asking us is, when will the power come back on? When will my internet be back? Well, KCRG TV 9 investigative reporter Ethan Stein looked into that. Ethan, what did you find?
Well, Beth, we found out that AT&T, they're going to be bringing equipment from out of state to come and help get service back online for the city. What we also did is we reached out to other companies, and although they didn't give us any actual particulars on what they're doing to get back service quickly, they did say they're working on the problem. You mentioned it before. The service, it's very spotty. It's hit and miss. It's kind of like the damage out here in the city where some bricks you could see them falling off buildings, and other buildings have what appears to be no damage whatsoever. Now, this is because that cell service, again, it's because those trees are going down and it's taking down those power lines with it. We spoke with one woman in Southwest Cedar Rapids. She's lived here for 40 years through the 2008 flood, and she says she's never seen this much damage and told me how frustrating it is to be without service.
All night long to all day today so far, it's just been siren after siren. You know, we don't know who's okay, who's not okay, what's going on, who's where. I mean, it's just the not knowing.
A spokesperson with Verizon says they have seen this issue because they've reached the network's capacity as more people are trying to use their phones since the power is out. So as more people are getting power back, you'll likely see that service improved as well. And the woman that we talked with, what's interesting, even though you've seen all those trees fall down, one of the things that's been an issue is her chicken coop. That's actually stayed up. It survived the storm, got no damage whatsoever. Just another example of how this storm is just stranger than fiction.
Ethan, thank you so much. And it is a bizarre thing this day and age to not be able to communicate with people who are right downtown.
Yeah, but when you've got two teenagers, it's kind of nice and serene and quiet to not have to hear anything. Can I do this? Can I do that? It's kind of been peaceful all day.
It's the longest they've been without their phones ever.
I know. They're just, it's like oxygen to them. And I'm bringing meteorologist Joe Winters with that first alert
Your
forecast.
first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist
And our weather
Joe
forecast
Winters.
tonight is going to be quiet. You want to look for the bright spot in something like this? We found it last night. Beth, did you notice that how dark it was?
Yes.
Because we lost all of our city light pollution, you can see so many more stars in the sky.
Beautiful.
While we have to go through this power outage, take advantage of the fact that the dark skies tonight will give you a great view of not only the stars, but also the peak of the Perseid meteor shower. Take a look. Here's your details. You can look after midnight. That's where you want to look. In your northeastern sky. Our graphics are on Max 1 for you. Northeastern sky, after midnight's your best time, but any time as we head through the nighttime hours, 40 to 50 meteors per hour, of course emanating from the constellation Perseus that's just below constellation Cassiopeia, which is the W in the sky. From now through the 13th is the peak, and again, with the dark skies and no city light pollution around, we don't like that, but let's take advantage of it and take a look at what will be a beautiful view tonight and for several nights in a row, by the way it sounds. Your weather looks quiet. Your first alert, no weather issues at all as we remain green across the board thanks to an area of high pressure that's moving across portions of Iowa. That area of high pressure will continue to slowly drift to the east, bringing back a little southeasterly airflow and starting to increase the mugginess that we've lost, at least for a day, day and a half. There you go with Pinpoint Futurecast. Mostly sunny skies for tomorrow to start. I think a partly cloudy afternoon, any showers and storms that develop off to the west, I think avoid eastern Iowa, and then generally a dry trend. Now again, it's unstable, so we could see an isolated shower or storm, but overall a dry forecast is expected not only Wednesday, but Thursday as well. There's your first alert forecast for tonight. We're looking for a low of 61 in Dubuque, 62 in Cedar Rapids, 63 in Iowa City, and 61 in Waterloo. Mostly clear skies, the winds remain light and out of the east. Tomorrow's forecast, how about a high in Dubuque of 83, 84 in Waterloo, southeast winds at 5 to 15, 85 in Cedar Rapids and in Iowa City. All in all, another pleasant day. And the dew point's still not bad. They're going to be a little higher than today. We were in the upper 50s. Tomorrow looks like some low to mid 60s. Close to 70 on Friday. Yeah, you're really going, or Thursday rather. That's when you're really going to start to feel that humidity. And 71 on Friday really pushes that humidity up and makes the atmosphere unstable. There you go. Wednesday, Thursday, real nice dry period. You do have to do some work, you certainly can get out. 85 both Wednesday and Thursday. Mid-60s are expected as we work through those overnight lows. And then we head toward the end of the week and the weekend. It will be a bit muggy. That certainly is the case. There's an isolated chance of some showers and storms on Sunday, but there's changes ahead as well. 84 on Saturday, 82 on Sunday. Then look, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, highs will be in the mid to upper 70s. Overnight lows in the 50s. Yeah, mid-August is going to feel absolutely fantastic. Again, quiet weather continues tonight. Beth and Chris are back with more next. Keep it here on TV9.
Well, we are still in a pandemic, so we do need to update you in the COVID-19 case for Iowa right now. cases and testing significantly down today.
And a lot of those down because of the storm and some of the testing capabilities yesterday. 203 new tests reported this morning. That's just off of about 2,000 tests for a positivity rate of just more than 10%. Also, 6 more deaths in Iowa. The rolling 7-day average for cases also remains around the same from the past couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us outside in the elements here for the KCRG TV9 News at 6.
We'll see you right back here tonight at 10. Stay safe.